I want to read you the original Lord's Prayer from the Bible, which is insane to read because this is the direct Aramaic translation that they didn't tell us. And it's beautiful. O cosmic birther of all radiance and vibration, soften the ground of our bodies and carve out a space within us where your presence can abide. Fill us with your creativity so that we may be empowered to bear the fruit of your mission. Let each of our actions bear fruit in accordance with our desires. Endow us with the wisdom to produce and share what each being needs to grow and flourish. Untie the tangled threads of destiny that bind us as we release others from the entanglement of past mistakes. Do not let us be seduced by that which would divert us from our true purpose, but illuminate the opportunities of our present moment. For you are the ground, the truthful mission, the birth, the power, and fulfillment, as all is gathered and made whole again. And so it is. That is not the same prayer. You can find that prayer at the link in my bio. I do this every morning and it fills me up with light. That's not the same religion. Listen to those words and what feeling they're asking you to embody. It's pure power.
Anybody ever told you in teaching you the Bible that the Old Testament is an allegory? It is. And that the New Testament is parables? It is. How do I know that? Because the Apostle Paul says, talking about the Old Testament, which things are an allegory. In other words, these are symbolic stories that use the names of real places and real people, but really symbolize a deep spiritual truth. They have nothing to do with the names and the places that they use. It's an allegory. And we're reading them literally. There have been people going up to Mount Ararat looking for Noah's Ark. Do you know that? Spent millions of dollars. It's a mythological story. There's an ark in every culture in the world from the beginning of time. I mean, you know, did you ever read the story? Let me tell you something. Did you ever read the story of Moses? Remember Moses' mother, when he was 3 months old, put him in a basket with pitch and floated him up the creek, and the Egyptian lady picked him up? Do you know that that story was duplicated hundreds, if not thousands of years before that by King Sargon of Babylon? When King Sargon was 3 months old, his mother put him in a little basket with pitch, floated him up the creek, and a lady picked him up. The same story. But now when they were teaching you about Moses going up the creek, why didn't they teach you about King Sargon going up the creek? When they taught you that Jesus Christ was born of a virgin, why didn't they teach you that Hare Krishna was born of a virgin? When they taught you that Jesus Christ, when he was born, there was a strange star that why didn't they tell you that when Hare Krishna was born, there was also a strange star? Why didn't they tell you that Zoroaster, the Iranian prophet, was the one who commissioned Cyrus to rebuild the Hebrew temple and sent the Magi to find Jesus? It's true. And then this guy, according to our Christian religion, is a pagan. Yet if it wasn't for him, there would be no temple, and Jesus, nobody would have found him. Nobody would have announced to the world he was the king, because it was Zoroaster, the Persian prophet, that made that possible. Why doesn't anybody tell you these things? Why didn't anybody tell you that Jesus Christ associated himself as the Egyptian sun god, calling himself Amen-Ra? Why didn't anybody ever tell you? Jesus did. In Revelation, he calls himself the Amen. Thus saith the Amen. The Amen in Egypt is the sun god. Well, say, well, I don't know if he's the sun god. Well, it says in Matthew that Mary and Joseph took the child Jesus to Egypt to fulfill the prophecy. Out of Egypt have I called my son. So then God's saying that his son was Amen-Ra, the Egyptian sun god, and Jesus fulfilled that prophecy, the light of the world. And we can go into all of that. Well, why are they afraid to talk about these things? And if you tell these things which are truths, these are historical facts that I'm telling you, you're called a cult. Oh, stay away, don't listen to that stuff. That's where religion came from, out of the old Middle Ages. You know, the Middle Ages, you know, that's where the religion as we know it came from, the Middle Ages of Europe. And you know what they call it? History calls it the Dark Ages. You know why? People weren't allowed to think. And they still aren't in religion. You're not allowed to think. If you belong to a particular group, you got to think the way they do. Oh, you know, don't go near them. I don't know of anything more disastrous than telling people, don't read this stuff. You should read everything. You should read about Krishna, about Buddha, about Zoroaster, about everything. It's what you don't know that hurts you.
We eat the non-food and then can't even figure out how to intellectualize or intellectually organize the world around us. One of the major problems we have as a people, we will eat anything. It is a measure of your spiritual, intellectual, and physical on what you eat. So don't fool yourself. You can't eat everything. In certain circumstances, you can't eat anything. And then you need to have your water. So I think this deals with partially the conflict, or the controversy, I should say, that is the underlying tension. And I, for one, would suggest that we become more practical.
Here's a little something you can ponder in your mind, something that has never been explored along these lines. Paint a mental picture of the guns you can find, and I'll show you why we're so fascinated with the 9. The reason that we like it doesn't lie in the design. The secret of our adoration lies behind the 9, the number. It has a special meaning that's divine, a spiritual significance that needs to be defined. Man's relationship with the number 9 is odd. It has its beginnings and its origins in God. Here is an example that I'm giving to you first. Consider there are 9 planets in the universe. Mercury, Venus, Earth, then the Mars, plus the other 5 planets rest among the stars. They're all heavenly bodies, but herein lies the wisdom. Consider that your heavenly body has 9 systems. A planet for each system, a system for each planet. This seems to be a symbolism that we take for granted. Circulatory, reproductive, skeletal, and nervous, muscular, and endocrine. The others go researching, and then just prepare. The universe is 999 times 999 times squared. There's a little science for the time dropped right from the mind of the sign, number 9. 9 represents birth, completion. That's all. Take notice how the 9th month is the start of fall. It's the 3rd out of 4 seasons, so peep what you find, that the 3 for the season is the square root of 9. Bullets from the 9mm keep on gunning. My mother Ty said that 9 is the number of the woman. So look closely at the word feminine, and you will find, if you break it down right, that it's really feminine, the woman in 9. And that's just a segment, because a 9 looks like the bottom half of a woman when she's pregnant. So peep how it takes a 9 months to have a baby. Approximately 270 days she carries her seed. And that math is divine, because the 2 plus the 7 plus the 0 equals 9. A man, when he marries a woman, the band is placed on a woman's 9th finger on her hand. Surprising? Here is something a little more enticing. Retailers use a 9 in marketing and advertising. Pricing: a car is $20,099, gum is $79, candy is 99 cents, a gallon of gas $3.99. They do this because they know the attractiveness behind 9. It always multiplies back to 9. Use any number with a 9, you can find this is true. 9 times 2 is 18, and 1 plus the 8 equals 9. Now I mean, 9 times 8, see, that's 72. The 7 plus the 2 is 9. This you can do. With 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7, even 9 times 9, 10, or 11, 360 degrees, you will find that the 3 plus the 6 plus the 0 equals 9.
Ask anything in my name in the way I tell you, and he says, I will do it. John 14:14. Watch, we're going to have some mystical stuff here. What did he say? Ask anything in my name, in meditation, the way I tell you, and I will do it. And now how can he do it? Because he said that the Father would do it. What is the Father's name? If you go to the book of Exodus, and in the book of Exodus, chapter 3, verse 13, you'll see that Moses was in the desert. You know what that means? What does desert mean? Desert means confusion. Moses was in confusion. Let's follow this. You remember Moses went to the burning bush? Let's follow this. Here's Moses. He's you. He's in the desert. It means he's confused. He doesn't know which way to turn. All of these words are symbolic. That's the way the Easterners wrote the Bible. Okay? So he goes up to the mountain. That's what Jesus is talking about. That's the higher consciousness, the Father. The higher consciousness is the mountain. Okay? He sees a bush. The bush is that which is attached to the earth. That means in the center of his carnal mind. That which is attached to the earth is the carnal mind. That's the human mind that you and I use. And in the midst of that bush, he sees a fire. Fire means spirit. So what does it mean? It means that Moses, who was confused, raised his conscious level, overwhelmed, right in the middle of his carnal mind, he saw that which is the spirit. Not with his visible physical eyes, he saw it with his single eye, as Jesus tells you, if your eye be single. And what happened? He then receives this message from that which is the great communicator, that which is the cosmic entity, the higher consciousness, where God, the universal God, speaks. And what is the name? He asks, what is your name? And then God gives his name. And this is the name that is given. You ready for this? I. That's God's name. I. I am that I am. Why two I ams? Because it's YH, which is the male, WH, which is the female. In all, as Jesus said, when God created them, he made them male and female. It is that part of all of us. The spirit and the mind. Male and female. Male mind, female spirit. Okay? He made them male and female. So his name is I. And so this, then through tradition, this YHWH started to be pronounced Yahweh. And that's how the word Yahweh came. God didn't make that up. We made that up. But when the religion moved to Europe, there was no Y in Latin. So it became I, and there was H, but there was no W, so that became V, and there was an H, and this I in Latin is pronounced J, so it became JHVH, and we made it Jehovah. It wasn't. We made it up. See? But these figures, these characters that stand for I am and I am are the male and the female, which is in all of us. So the name of God is I. See? If you really want to, and this will really get your friends freaked out at you, but this is what you say. If they say, what is your name? Your name may be Charlie, or your name may be Harry. Who plays right field for the New York Mets? Darryl Strawberry. Okay, we got that. Who's catching now for the San Francisco Giants? Gary Carter. Okay. Who's the great ball player for the Chicago Bulls? What's his name? Well, anyhow. And I should have thrown, who is that? Frank, who's the guy that plays for the Chicago Bulls? The great basketball player. Huh? Johnson, you're worse than I am. Somebody sent us the name. We're drawing a blank. But what I'm trying to say is you identify people by their name. God's name is I am. So when somebody says to you, who is God? You say, I am. And they say, oh, he believes that he's God. No, it's not that me. It is I. The higher consciousness is I. So when Jesus says, ask anything in my name, ask anything in the way I tell you via meditation, and I will do it. That does not mean Jesus will, because Jesus said he can do nothing. It means I will do it. And what did Jesus say? I and the Father are one. That means I is the center of your consciousness. I am that I am. So as you ask in the way that Jesus said, you raise yourself to the higher consciousness, you come to the center of your own existence, which is God, which is I, in that place above human thought, and there that which is the I will do, as long as you ask simply for that power, that wisdom, that understanding to come pouring down and to lift you up above all of these things, which are the things of the lower mind.
Stop playing with people who have spiritual gifts. Stop playing with people who have a knack for intuition. Stop playing with people who have a knack for knowing, where God has employed some part of them where they see it in their dreams, they smell it, they sense it, they visualize it, they know what they know, they can hear it in your voice, they watch your body language, they ask you questions just to gauge whether it is or not you are being honest. So I'll say, and I'll reiterate again, stop playing with people who have spiritual intuition and connections, who know their body, who knows their mind, who knows what they see, and who sees you.